Nigerian Senate condemns killing of soldiers in Delta State as House of Representatives urges the Nigerian military to consider pardoning perpetrators. The Nigerian Air Force has carried out a strike on terrorist logistics storage in Niger State. INEC issues ultimatum to political parties saying no time extension for submission of candidates' names. The United Nations report says there is a 35% increase in people affected by violence in South Sudan. Good evening. Apologies for coming your way behind schedule. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We commence in Abuja as the Nigerian Senate has called on the federal government of Nigeria to apprehend the perpetrators of the horrific killing of soldiers in Okuama community of Delta State. The upper legislative also called on the government for recruitment of more policemen so as to disengage the Nigerian military from being part of the internal security arrangement. The report.
The calls were part of the resolutions reached at Tuesday's plenary after a brief debate on two motions by Senators Abdulaziz Yaradua and Ede Dafinone. Last Thursday, some senior army officers and their men who were on a peace mission to the troubled area were reportedly ambushed and killed by armed youths.
They were not only killed, but their bodies were also decapitated. The unfortunate incident occurred when the troops responded to a distress call after the communal crisis between the Okuama and Okoloba communities, both in Delta State.
Lawmakers further described the act as provocative, saying the incident portends danger for innocent indigents of communities in the region.
What happened in Delta was not an accident. It was a designed and well-orchestrated effort to kill our military men.
It's not every day, even in a war situation, it's not every day a country suffers this kind of loss, even in a war, even during wartime.
Mr. President, Nigeria, this is crunch time for our country, and we must always ensure that whatever thing that we're doing, we must be tolerant with one another.
In his remarks, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, advised the military to carry out a thorough investigation in order to ascertain that those that murdered the soldiers in Delta State are actually Nigerians. Senator Akpabio expressed doubt if the culprits are from the Niger Delta.
We are not at war, even in a period of war, to lose such number of personnel. No community will go to the extent of doing this kind of thing. I don't think they are from Niger Delta. So I think the first point should be that we should first establish the culprits who committed this crime.
The Senate, however, rejected a prayer to observe a minute's silence or to commiserate with the families of the innocent civilians killed in the process, saying that their numbers are still unknown.
Well, in a related development, the House of Representatives has called on the Nigerian government and the military to consider pardoning the communities of Okuama and Okoloba in Ughelli South and Bomadi local government areas of Delta State over the killing of Nigerian soldiers in the area. The House also called on the National Emergency Management Agency to provide relief materials to both communities involved to promote peace among communities. On Thursday, March 14, 17 military personnel were killed while on a peacekeeping mission to quell a communal clash in Delta State. Here's the report.
The resolution followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance raised during plenary by Representative Babajimi Benson, the member representing Ikorodu Federal Constituency, Lagos State. Raising the motion, Benson explained that the military personnel were only responding to a distress call in their service to their fatherland when they were ambushed and killed on Thursday.
The House is distressed that the perpetrators of the heinous act did not only stop at killing this military personnel, but also sacrilegiously debased their remains by ripping out their hearts and other body parts.
The House, however, adopted an amendment of the earlier resolution following a motion raised by Representative Francis Waive. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, who presided over the plenary, later called for a voice vote that went in favor of the House majority.
It's something that should not be tolerated anywhere, and the perpetrators must be brought to book. I agree with the prayers that the event, the sad occurrence, to be investigated, except that I request that the House Committee on Defense lead that process.
This motion as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committees on Defense, Army, Police, and National Intelligence for further legislative action.
A minute of silence for the deceased military personnel was observed by the House. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has summoned the Minister of Health and Permanent Secretary of the Ministry to appear before it or face sanctions. Chairman, House Committee on HIV and AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria Control, Amobi Oga, said the committee's invitation to the ministry is to ascertain an alleged embezzlement of $300 million meant for procurement of anti-malaria for communities.
We all know that malaria is now an epidemic in Nigeria. I can tell us that the government have always want to help the people. But most times, the civil servants are our problem.
As a committee, we are beginning to see how our civil servants connive with international bodies, in this case, UNOPS, to run Nigerian businesses down.
I see, or we have all seen now, that the permanent secretary, and in my opinion, all of Ministry of Health, do not share the same passion that we do to save our people. That is a shame.
They are not here to defend these allegations. Let's bring these allegations when they are here. They refuse to come. Let's not tell them what they are going to hear when they come here. When they come here, then we can now attack them or present them with whatever allegation we have.
The summon followed the refusal of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health to honor the invitation of the committee for 3 consecutive times.
Well, staying with the Delta State killing of Nigerian soldiers, the Delta State Governor, Sheriff Oborivari, has given assurances of the restoration of law and order, stating that there will be no more attacks on villages in the Delta Creeks. The governor made this assertion on Tuesday after meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the Asorok Villa to brief him on developments in Delta State. State House correspondent Kane Diamodu has more.
15 officers and men of the Nigerian Army met their deaths while responding to a distress call during a clash between Okuama and Okoloba communities in Delta State on Thursday. Since then, there has been utter condemnation of the act, with the president giving the armed forces the go-ahead to apprehend the perpetrators by all legal means. There have been reports of military personnel patrolling the creeks and raising houses in the community responsible for the attack. The military has described these reports as propaganda and a lack of remorse from the community. With tempers rising high, it is not surprising that the governor is in the villa to seek cover.
So I decided to come here to brief Mr. President of all the things we have been doing to maintain peace. And Mr. President assured me that the peace, as in support of the peace. We had a meeting yesterday with the security heads where the commanding officer, general commanding officer of 6th was there. The JTF commander was there, was in attendance. We've all agreed. All the security agencies are putting heads together. We're on the same page to fish out the real culprit.
The governor accepts that those responsible must be brought to book, but is concerned that innocent citizens are suffering from The governor accepts that those responsible must be brought to book, but is concerned that innocent citizens are suffering for the crime of others.
The way forward are two ways. The people that have been killed, the officers and soldiers, we must see how we can find succor for this family and all, and they giving a befitting burial. And also the community, anything that has happened in the community in the past will not happen again. We assure them, but the people who are culpable will be brought to book.
Details are sketchy as to the progress of the manhunt, but the governor accepts that the community is deserted and he has not been able to see community leaders. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Meanwhile, the military high command has denied reports of a reprisal attack on Okuama community after the killing of 16 soldiers in Delta State. The deceased officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army belong to the 181 Amphibious Battalion in Bomadi local government area of the state. Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa had directed the immediate investigation and arrest of those involved in the heinous crime. Days after the order, residents of Okuama community have fled the community to neighboring Ughelli for fear of reprisal by soldiers. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Edward Buba, on Monday says the Nigerian Armed Forces, being a disciplined force, complies with its rules of engagement, laws of armed conflict, and respect for human rights. Buba noted that it is against this background that the military debunks all claims that the military embarked on reprisal attacks in the Okuama community after the incident. He urges community leaders, elders, and the people of Delta State to assist the military in the investigation to identify the perpetrators of the dastardly act so that they can be held to account for their actions. In other security news, the Nigerian Air Force says strikes by men of the Air Force have destroyed a terrorist logistics storage situated in Palele near Shirolo local government area of Delta State. The Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force, Edward Gapquet, disclosed this in a press statement in Abuja on Tuesday. Gapquet informed that the operation was executed by troops of Operation Wild Punch, acting on intelligence indicating the presence of terrorist weapons cache at east of Palele, adding that authorization was obtained to deploy air assets to neutralize the threat. He also added that the operation, which was executed with speed and precision, resulted in significant damage to the target, including a secondary explosion, which according to him confirmed the destruction of arms and ammunition. According to Gapquet, the weapons are believed to be affiliated to a particular terrorist kingpin who is on the most wanted list in Nigeria. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says there will be no time extension for political parties that are yet to submit their nominated candidates for the Edo and Ondo governorship elections billed for Saturday, September 25th, 2024. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu stated this during the Commission's first consultative meeting with political parties for the year 2024 in Abuja. Noel Sampson reports.
The off-cycle election in Edo is expected to hold on the 25th of September 2024 and on the 16th of November 2024 in Ondo State. With primaries concluded in Edo State, the INEC chairman urged the political parties to follow the schedules of the commission.
Only 6 parties have uploaded their nominations to the portal as at this morning. We urge you to keep to our schedule of activities and avoid last-minute rush that may undermine your ability to successfully nominate your candidates. There will be no extension of time beyond the deadline already published in the timetable and schedule of activities for the election. For the Ondo State governorship election, party primaries begin in the next 2 weeks on 6 April 2024.
Chairman of the Intra-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, Yusuf Dantale, promised that IPAC will do everything in its power to make sure the off-cycle elections are free, fair, and successful.
As we prepare for the forthcoming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo State and subsequent polls, IPAC will partner with INEC and stakeholders in the electoral process to further consolidate our democracy and restore Nigeria's dignity and prosperity as the great arsenal of democracy in Africa.
Meanwhile, both INEC and IPAC have assured Nigerians of having an off-cycle elections that will reflect the will of the people. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
In other news, Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court, Abuja, on Tuesday denied bail to the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. The court, however, ordered accelerated hearing of the case involving the embattled IPOB leader who is facing charges bordering on treasonable felony. Delivering her ruling, Justice Nyako held that the court would only grant an accelerated hearing in the matter and ordered the prosecution to call its first witness. Counsel for Kanu, Aloy Ejimako, expressed displeasure over the ruling, saying the IPOB leader's legal team cannot go on with the proceedings if not given an opportunity to speak to their client. Ejimako added that it has been difficult to have a meeting with Nnamdi Kanu in the custody of the DSS, as their conversations are always monitored by the security services, adding that Kanu is still wearing the same outfit to court, unchanged. He challenged the unfair treatment of his client, which he said contravenes the Nigerian constitution. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Still to come. Harnessing the benefits of irrigation, Benue farmers and traders share their experiences and expectations. Details on this and many more stories coming up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the news. Thank you very much for staying with us. Let's take another look at our top stories. The Nigerian Senate has condemned the killing of soldiers in Delta State as the House of Representatives urges the Nigerian military to consider pardoning the perpetrators. The Nigerian Air Force has carried out an airstrike that has hit a terrorist logistics storage in Niger State. Now, the Adamawa State Police Command has paraded 58 suspects for various offenses and recovered some weapons in a coordinated operation across the state. Among them were 40 Shilla boys notorious for attacking pedestrians, 11 suspected kidnappers, and 7 armed robbery suspects. The police also recovered a Toyota Prado Jeep on a Hummer bus. During the parade, the police commissioner in Adamawa State, Nkombo Modi, stated that all the suspects had confessed to their involvement in the crimes and would face appropriate charges in court. He solicited the support and cooperation of stakeholders in providing credible and timely information to the police, which would be instrumental and help in preventing and combating crime and ultimately making Adamawa State a safe place for all. Now, a civil society group in Lagos State, Nigeria, says that the current economic hardship in the country is contributing to the rising rate of crime across the country. Now, the group, while calling on the government to create platforms for Nigerian youths to thrive, highlighting the present economic hardship in the country, is gradually pushing many youths into acts of self-survival that may include criminal activities. Victoria Tokolo sent in this report as presented from our studio.
The current economic hardship in the country has been identified by many persons as a major contributing factor to the rising insecurity. For this civil society organization, there is need for government to address the economic challenges to ensure that many young persons don't engage in criminal acts as a means of survival.
We're going to do lots of orientation for the youth to begin to resort to self-survival is because of economic and social downfall. So we are going to engage in lots of advocacies that will give enlightenment to the Nigerian youths for the reasons why they must join this violence or these vices, and also involve government to make government aware that they can create good platforms for the Nigerian youth to strive. You can see the hardship is bringing about self-reliance, and there are better ways Nigerian youth can resort themselves into self-sufficiency other than the ills in the society. We condemn insecurity, we condemn criminality in the society, and that's where we're going to stand. We are happy that today we have the Tinubu's administration that believes in solving these issues, and that's why you're seeing the gradual process they are taking. They are not wasting time anytime they hear of any issues. In collaboration with the security agencies, they are trying to see how we can correct these vices. And it is the Nigerian youth that are the midst of all these issues. So we are going to engage our constituency to ensure that we support the federal government, each state government that is. In fact, I was advocating that for the now, all state government should tool down any form of development and face the issue of insecurity.
Others are of the opinion that government should invest more in industrialization and agriculture to create more jobs for young persons and prevent mass exodus of young persons from the country.
Government should go back. It's not a matter of paying salaries alone. Government should go back to agriculture, industrialization, social welfare, so that the youth of this country will not be in what we call mass exodus to other countries. Those youths in those countries also participated in the industrialization and the development of economy, a sound economic policy. That's exactly what we expect the governors to do. You know, like getting money to say you want to do palliative, and then no, it will not work. You need industrialization, agricultural program, and social empowerment. These are the expected obligations from the government.
The group also advised state governments to channel their resources towards the fight against insecurity, as this will guarantee development in other sectors.
To Borno State now, where Governor Babagana Zulum has approved 1 billion naira for the training of basic level teachers across the 27 local councils of the state. He made the disclosure during the inauguration of local government education secretaries and allocation of 58 Hilux trucks and cars in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Governor Zulum says over 1,000 O-level teachers will also participate in the training program. While recounting the destruction on educational facilities by Boko Haram terrorists across the state, which has worsened the number of out-of-school children, the governor says his administration is making progress over the years and has dropped the number from 2 million to 850,000. He charged the new education secretaries to be diligent, warning that underperformance will not be tolerated and will be punished by his government.
All those that were further screened based on additional competency tests that were done by the ministry should also be based on their appropriate salary scales. Those that have qualified should be given the opportunity to enjoy the minimum wage.
I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Your Excellency for the dedicated efforts in tackling the logistical challenges encountered at local government education authorities. Your provision of 28 brand new Toyota Hilux and 30 3 wagons for supervisory purposes within the LEA is truly commendable. Every education secretary seated here will go with 1 Hilux and 1 back to his destination.
Staying with developments in the education sector, members of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union on Monday shut down the main entrance of the University of Jos as they embark on a 7-day warning strike. As members of the unions, who were led by the leadership of the groups, say their actions follow the inability of the federal government to pay their outstanding 4 months' salaries, adding that they embarked on the 7-day warning strike in compliance with the directive of their national bodies.
We started our strike today being 18th of March 2024. Directive given by our national leadership. So, under the directives, one of it is that we should not give any concession for whatsoever reason. So this is part of it.
Our duty, manning the gates of every institution wherever our work bestow. And in this note, people saw what happened. Tomorrow, nobody will hold the staff of the university for breaking the gates of the university. You all saw it yourself.
It is not the normal kind of strike that we know that every union undertake. Unions undertake a peaceful strike and peaceful demonstration. But what our unions have done today they have decided to actually come and lock the university gates. I do not think that that is the right thing to do, because there are academic staff, there are students. They have more or less seized the government property by locking the gates.
Now, the River Benue proves to be an invaluable resource for those harnessing its potentials. During the dry season, various business opportunities such as farming, fishing, and gravels, as well as sand excavation, thrive along the riverbanks, offering employment to many across the state. In the agriculture sector, smallholder farmers are capitalizing on dry season farming, utilizing the water from the river to their benefit. Here's Jimmy Azandi with more on the story.
With the pumping machine technology, the farmers have turned the dry lands into wetlands for cultivation of vegetables, pepper, cassava, rice, among many other crops as the water recedes into the River Benue. The Perpetrators that come to these farmlands on a daily basis to buy farm produce say it has been a positive economic development for their families.
You know, good, my woman sit down for house, they wait for husband. Because sometimes husband no get money to give you, you go carry your own, they cook for your children. Like me, I get 6 children. Only my husband cannot train them, unless I will support her. Woman like me, anywhere when I day, anybody where sit down for house, where I cannot do business, stand up, come buy alefo. The alefo they easy to sell. Because if you carry 2,000, 1,000 come, you can buy alefo 2,000, you can sell at 3,000, you can sell at 4,000. You go get your own gain, where you go support your husband.
Because this live good. As if you dey house, you will be suffer, but if you are buying the leaf, anyhow you will get little something. You cannot borrow, say give me maggi, give me salt, give me onions. Maybe at least you get 100 naira inside to buy salt and feed your children. Or buy soap and bath them well. Or buy cream inside. Because you cannot look for all those things. You cannot wait and sit for your husband to come and go and hustle outside, come and give you.
The dry season farmers say it has been a wonderful experience, even though with many challenges that require expertise and adequate finance.
A week at the borrow pumping machine, at the higher pumping machine 3 days. At the higher rate on Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. And then the pumping machine, they do work for me for 3 hours, 4 hours. They pay 3,500 naira. As some dema, they pay 4,000 naira. If government will help us with the fertilizer, chemical, and give us law to help us, to assist us, so that we by ourselves, we invite and we encourage the other youth that sit down idle.
The assessment I took for some time concerning this dry season farming, yes, the Hausa people do normally come when there's dry season, start farming, this irrigational farming, using their pumping machine, put water, women do come, their source of income. But the major thing here is that I could not see the time that the government intervened in terms of at least to help them out on one thing or the other. Let's say the fertilizer or any kind of a grant to help them out.
There have been persistent calls from agricultural experts for farmers to embrace off-season or dry season farming in order to guarantee food security in the country. At the moment, the riverine opportunity is underutilized in Benue State because only a few farmers are practicing irrigation farming, which they say is sophisticated and requires the support of the government at all levels. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Back here in Abuja, the House of Representatives has approved a budget of 1.28 trillion naira for the Federal Capital Territory for the 2024 fiscal year. The budget was passed on Tuesday following its presentation for consideration by the Chairman, House Committee on the Federal Capital Territory, Mukhtar Betara. In his presentation to the House, Betara noted that out of the 1.28 trillion naira, 140.915 billion naira has been earmarked for personnel cost, while 373.027 billion naira has been allocated for overhead costs. The remaining 768.3 billion naira is designated for capital projects to serve the needs of the Federal Capital Territory.
This House do receive
reports of committees on Federal Capital Territory and Federal Capital Territory Area Council and auxiliary matters on a bill for an act to authorize the issue from Federal Capital Territory Statutory Revenue Fund of Federal Capital Territory Administration account of 1,282,270,610,283 naira only, of which 140,915,3,856 naira only is for personal costs, and the sum of 373,373,668 naira only is for overhead costs.
All right, time now to join Yusuf Akugu for today's latest in business.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akugu. The Central Bank of Nigeria said 11 distribution companies, DISCOs, obtained a credit facility totaling 273.34 billion naira to purchase 414,000 meters for distributions. In its report covering a detailed assessment of 10.3 trillion naira development financing between 2015 and 2022, CBN disclosed that the meters purchased include maximum demand meters, smart meters, and single-phase meters. According to the breakdown, the Ikeja Disco received 4.74 billion naira from the intervention program, while Eko Disco received 34.85 billion naira. Abuja Distribution Company got 34.69 billion naira. Ibadan Disco borrowed 27.73 billion naira. Enugu Disco 27.84 billion naira, while Kaduna Disco collected 24.36 billion naira. The loan disbursed under the Nigerian Electricity Market Stabilization Facility Intervention Project aimed at increasing electricity capacity from 3,400 megawatts to approximately 4,900 megawatts. Investment in infrastructure funds by pension fund administrators has hit 150.8 billion naira in January 2024. The amount represents an increase of 32.9% year-on-year from 113.485 billion naira in the corresponding period of 2023. Latest data released by the Nigerian Pension Commission, PENCOM, for the month of January showed that the investment in infrastructure funds by the PFAs accounted for 0.82% of the total net asset value of the pension funds. Commenting on the development, Executive Vice Chairman, HighCap Securities Limited, David Adori, said the infrastructure fund should be made attractive for fund managers to invest and to help meet the infrastructure needs of the country. In an effort to support the Nigeria's export market, the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme under its Integrated National Financing Framework project, say it is ready to train stakeholders to strategically promote, attract, and manage investment. According to the agency, it is also seeking the support of the European Union to continue the implementation of the Nigeria Investment Certification Programme for the states. Speaking in Ado-Ekiti, the state governor, Yodu Oyebanji, represented by the secretary to the state government, Habibat Adubayero, said the training of relevant stakeholders in their drive to attract investment could not have come at a better time when the country is meticulously looking at alternative sources of funds to finance developmental projects. She said the program focused on states to demonstrate ability to provide information on needed infrastructure for investment purposes. Now to the stock market. Equities market closed negative again today, even though solid corporate actions and fundamentals continue to spur pockets of bargain hunting activities among investors. Let's see here how it went down today. On the negative side, some of the losing equities that dragged down the market are Dacom down 9.86%, Computer Warehouse Group CWG also down 9.09%, and of course Sovereign Wealth Insurance also in the negative territory, 8.51% to close at 43 kobo per shares, and of course it has dragged down the market by 0.29% at the close of business today. Volume of trade 283.514 million shares, value at 6.667 billion naira. In a list of 9,274 did exchanges among investors at the close of business today. Of course, if you look at the top trading equities, based on what we're having today, United Bank for Africa leading the chart there. 36.412 million shares it traded. Access Corporation 27.986 million shares as well. Of course, Transcorp also traded 21.363 million volume of shares. It did also trade as well. Of course, we have some equities that did record some gains today. One of them is International Energy Insurance today, gaining 10% today to close at 1 naira and 32 kobo per shares. International Brewery also up there 9.89% to close at 4 naira and 89 kobo per share. Of course, Julie, one of the big revelations in 2024, gaining 9.85% as well to close at 5 naira and 92 kobo per shares at the close of business this Monday. Indeed, it's at the highlight of the stock trading as it went down this Tuesday on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Let's see the global stock market for today. Now to the FX market. Now, Naira appreciation continues as US dollar supply surge at foreign exchange market. Here are today's market. Finally, in business, oil price maintained positive sentiment on Tuesday as major factories in China increased their demand. At the London market, the Brent crude sells for $86 per barrel. For the pay basket, price move up to $85 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akugu.
All right, let's take a look at developments on the international scene. A new report by the United Nations says civilians are bearing the brunt of a surge in intercommunal conflict in parts of South Sudan. The number of people affected by violence in South Sudan surged by 35% in the last 3 months of 2023 due to intercommunal conflict, according to the United Nations. The UN mission in South Sudan documented 233 incidents of violence affecting 862 people. In a report released on Monday, it says 406 people were killed, while 293 were injured, 100 abducted, and 63 subjected to conflict-related sexual violence. The report also says intercommunal violence by community-based militias or civil defense groups accounted for 86% of all civilians affected. Now, more than half of those affected by the violence were caught up in retaliatory attacks related to the border dispute between rival factions of the Dinka ethnic group, the Twig Dinka from Warab State, the main hotspot for conflict, and the Ngok Dinka from the oil-rich region of Abyei, with 263 killed and 186 injured, according to the report. Time now for some sports. Here's Adeni Ajishafe.
Minister of Sport Development John Owa Eno has lauded the Daniel Gali-led Nigerian Wrestling Federation following the exceptional performance of Nigerian athletes at the African Senior Wrestling Championship taking place in Alexandria, Egypt. After 6 gold medals and a number of silver and bronze medals at the African Games in Ghana, the good run has not stopped. Christiana Ogunsoya exhibited dominance over Perrine Ayachi of Tunisia with a superiority score of 10-0 to claim gold medal in the 53-kilogram category. Odwan Adekore won her 5th African title in the 57-kilogram category, class by pinning Chaima Akwisi of Egypt. Kolawole Esther overwhelmed Farah Hussein of Egypt with a commanding 11-0 victory, clinching her 2nd African senior title in the 62-kilogram category. Blessing Obrodudu triumphed over Osman Badran of Egypt with a resounding 12-2 superiority decision, earning her 14th African crown in the 68-kilogram division, as Hannah Rubens secured silver medal in the 76-kilogram category after a hard-fought battle with Zenaus Ger. Eno emphasized the pivotal role of the Federation in showcasing Nigerian sporting progress on the international stage, highlighting their contribution to the nation's sporting legacy. And in football, the Nigerian Football Federation has won football associations across the 36 states and the FCT to play their Federation Cup final matches on either 30th March or 31st March as instructed by the NFF or risk a penalty of 1 million naira. NFF Director of Competitions, Ruth David, said the football ruling body will no longer condone the disruptive attitude of some FAs who set their own timetable outside that of NFF. According to David, the NFF stated clearly in the schedule from the beginning that states must play their final matches either on Saturday 30th March or Sunday 31st March. 2024 Federation Cup competition in the states began on Friday 1st March 2024. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
Well, that's our offering for you on Trust TV's News Hour tonight. Thank you most kindly for your patience and for your time and company. As always, we encourage you to follow us across our social media platforms to keep up with our news content, and you can check out our website trusttv.com for the latest news and documentaries. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. For myself and the rest of the team, thank you for joining us tonight.